When the last sheriff's deputy in Mora County, New Mexico, walked out of the station in the spring of 2024, nobody hired a replacement. The county didn't put out a job posting. The state didn't send anyone. The federal government didn't notice. They just, quietly, stopped answering 911. If you had a heart attack in Mora after that day, your neighbor was your ambulance. If someone broke into your house, your shotgun was your police department. If your kid went missing in the woods, you were the search party. The phone still worked. The number still existed on paper. But on the other end, there was nobody. For weeks, then months. And in some parts of that county, it is still like that right now as you are watching this. You are used to hearing about the America on the postcards, the America of Times Square and the Grand Canyon and glowing highway billboards. That is the America that gets federal funding, tourism money, and CNN coverage. But I am not here to show you that America. I am here to show you the other one. The America that the census still counts, but the government has quietly decided to forget. The America where the fire trucks never come. The America where the schools have no teachers. The America where the levees are rotting, the water pipes are dissolving, and the nearest functioning hospital is 120 miles away on a road that hasn't been repaved since Reagan. This is the finale of Block C. 10 regions, 10 zip codes, 10 places where the government has given up. And I mean that literally, not metaphorically, not poetically. I mean the state, the county, or the federal apparatus has physically withdrawn services, withdrawn personnel, and in some cases, withdrawn the legal fiction that it is responsible at all. You are going to hear about a county that has one deputy for 800 square miles. You are going to hear about a school district that ran for 2 full years without a single certified teacher. You are going to hear about a region where FEMA said no 3 times in a row, and the water is still standing in the streets. And at number 1, I am going to take you to a place where the federal government is, and I am quoting from an actual Interior Department report, and I'm quoting carefully, present on paper. Everything else is gone. Subscribe to the channel before we continue, because when the next emergency hits and you end up in one of these zip codes, you will want to know what you are looking at. Knowing is cheap, not knowing costs everything. I am report state. I have read the county budgets. I have read the FEMA denial letters. I have read the OIG audits nobody wanted published. And what you are about to see is not opinion, it is arithmetic. It is the math of abandonment, and it does not lie. Let's break it down. Number 10, Mora County, New Mexico. The valley where the fire came and help didn't. In April of 2022, a prescribed burn set by the United States Forest Service escaped its containment lines and became what we now call the Hermit's Peak Calf Canyon Fire. 341,000 acres, the largest wildfire in New Mexico state history. It was not a natural disaster. It was a federal operation that went wrong. The US government set this fire. That is not contested. That is admitted. Mora County was ground zero, a high mountain county, population 4,200, median household income around $28,000, mostly Hispanic families whose land has been in the same names since before the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. When the fire jumped the lines, the Forest Service evacuated their own people first. Residents called for help. Nobody came. Volunteer fire departments from 3 counties over tried to respond, but the roads were blocked. The State Emergency Management Office had, according to its own after-action report, no liaison officer in the county for the first 72 hours. Here is what nobody tells you about what happened next. Congress passed the Hermit's Peak Calf Canyon Fire Assistance Act in September 2022. On paper, it set aside $3.95 billion for victims. On paper. As of late 2025, according to the FEMA administrator's own testimony before the Senate, less than 22% of filed claims had been paid. 22%. From a federal fund created specifically to compensate victims of a fire that the federal government started. A Mora resident named Raymond Archuleta, a 71-year-old rancher whose family homesteaded that valley in 1874, filed his claim in October 2022. He lost his entire herd, 36 head of cattle. He lost 2 barns. He lost 112 years of grazing records. He received his first check in August 2025, 34 months after filing. The amount was $41,000. His documented losses were over $300,000. Ray told a reporter from the Santa Fe New Mexican, and I'm quoting the actual quote, "They started the fire. They said they would pay. Now they are waiting for me to die so they don't have to." That is a citizen of the United States of America, talking about his own government. Picture this. You are Raymond Archuleta. You are 71. You have outlived your wife. Your 2 sons live in Albuquerque, and they call on Sundays. You watch the federal helicopters fly over the canyon on training exercises, and you remember that one of those helicopters, 3 years ago, was supposed to come for you and never did. You have a ranch that used to have cattle. Now it has weeds and burned fence posts. And every month you open an envelope from FEMA that says your claim is still under review. Mora County comes in at number 10, not because the conditions are the worst in America. They aren't. Number 10 comes in at number 10 because of what it represents. It represents the moment the federal government sets your land on fire, promises to make you whole, and then simply outlasts you. The strategy is attrition. The strategy is to wait. And the map calls that __quote _2__. The books close. The column balances, and Raymond Archuleta waits. If you think a county where the federal government set the fire and then ghosted is rough, wait until we cross the Mississippi and head into the hollows, where the government never set the fire because there was nothing left to burn. Number 9. McDowell County, West Virginia, the Hollow State. McDowell County used to have 100,000 people. That was 1950. The coal was running, the rail lines were open, and the town of Welch was the commercial heart of southern West Virginia. You could walk down McDowell Street in Welch in 1951 and see 3 department stores, 2 movie theaters, a streetcar line, and sidewalks so packed on Saturday night that the police department actually directed pedestrian traffic. Today, McDowell County has under 18,000 people. It has lost more than 80% of its population in 7 decades. The median household income, according to the most recent Census American Community Survey, is $24,300. That is not a misprint. $24,300 for a household. In the year 2025, the county has 1 full-service hospital, Welch Community Hospital, and that hospital lost its obstetrics unit in 2018. If you are a pregnant woman in McDowell County today and you go into labor, the nearest delivery bed is in Princeton, an hour and 10 minutes away on Route 52. Route 52 in the winter is not a road, it is a suggestion. It is 2 lanes carved into the side of a mountain with no shoulder, no guardrail in several stretches, and black ice from November through March. Here is what nobody tells you. In 2023, McDowell County's Emergency Management Director quietly admitted to a state legislative committee that the county had not had a functional volunteer fire department in 3 of its 8 districts for over 18 months. No volunteers, no trucks running. The state knew. The federal government knew. No federal response was triggered because technically the county still had fire service on paper. 3 districts, just not the other 5. A woman named Geraldine Hatfield, 63 years old, died in her trailer in the War-Bottom section of McDowell County in February 2024 when her space heater caught the curtain on fire. The closest functioning fire unit was 41 minutes away. When they arrived, the trailer had already burned to the axle. Geraldine's son told the Charleston Gazette, quote, 3. Let's look at the numbers hard. McDowell County's life expectancy, according to the University of Washington Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation, is 64.8 years for men. 64.8. That is lower than Haiti. That is lower than Bangladesh. That is lower than the average life expectancy in the United States in 1948. You are living, right now in the year of our Lord 2025, in a country where there is a county where the men live shorter lives than Americans lived before the invention of color television. Picture this. You are driving through McDowell on a Tuesday morning. You turn off Route 52 onto a hollow road with no name, just a number. You pass 3 boarded-up houses, a collapsed church with Daniel Thompson carved on the cornerstone from 1912, and a United States post office that is open 2 days a week for 90 minutes. There is a hand-painted sign on the post office door that says, quote, _4_. There is nobody in the parking lot. There is nobody on the sidewalk. There is a dog, missing one ear, sitting in the middle of the asphalt, watching you. That dog has seen more government employees this year than the residents have. The sarcastic part is this. McDowell County is still technically a jurisdiction. It still has a county commission. It still has a sheriff. It still elects a representative to Charleston. On a map of the United States, McDowell County looks exactly like every other county. A polygon, a name, a population number. The map does not tell you that the median income is $24,000. The map does not tell you that the fire department is a fiction. The map does not tell you that Geraldine Hatfield burned to death while she waited. Number 9, because McDowell County is the template. It is the proof of concept. The government does not need to issue a decree of abandonment. It just lets things fall apart, one contract at a time, one retirement at a time, one denied grant application at a time. And 40 years later, you have a hollow state wearing the costume of a functioning county. And if you think a hollow state with $24,000 incomes is as low as this list goes, buckle up, because we have not even crossed into the poorest county east of the Mississippi yet. Number 8, Owsley County, Kentucky, the poorest county east of the Mississippi. Owsley County, Kentucky, population 4,200 and falling. Median household income, and I want you to sit down for this one, $19,300. The poorest county in the eastern United States. The poorest county in America that is not a Native American reservation. 45% of the population lives below the federal poverty line. 45%, not 10, not 20, 45. Owsley County is up in the Knobs, eastern Kentucky, where the coal ran out in the 1960s and the tobacco ran out in the 1990s, and nothing came to replace either one. The biggest employer in the county now is the county school system. The second biggest employer is the Save-A-Lot grocery store in Boonville, the county seat. The third biggest employer is the Kentucky Department of Transportation District Office. Notice what all three have in common. They are the government, or they are people who sell food to the government's customers. In a county of 4,200 people, the private sector is essentially a customer service function of federal and state transfer payments. Here is what nobody tells you. Owsley County has the highest rate of federal benefit dependency in the lower 48 states. According to the USDA Economic Research Service, 57% of total personal income in Owsley County comes from federal and state transfer payments. Social Security, SNAP, Medicaid, disability, veterans benefits, 57%. That means for every dollar that comes into that county economy, 57 cents of it is a check from Washington or Frankfurt. And yet, the federal government has been quietly reducing its physical presence in the county for 15 years. The Social Security Field Office closed in 2011. Nearest one is now in Hazard, Kentucky, 45 minutes away. The USDA Rural Development Office closed in 2016. The IRS Taxpayer Assistance Center closed in 2019. The Department of Veterans Affairs Community-Based Outreach Clinic closed in 2022. So think about this. 57% of the county's income is federal, meaning more than half of what Owsley County earns comes from federal programs. But the physical offices that administer those programs have all left. The checks still come, but if you need to talk to a human being about a check, you need to get in a car, drive 45 minutes on a 2-lane road, and hope you have gas money. A man named Darrell Bowling, 68 years old, retired logger, needed to fix a discrepancy on his Social Security statement in November 2024. He did not have a car. His wife had died 2 years earlier and sold their truck to cover funeral expenses. The only way for Darrell to reach the Hazard office was the county's senior citizen transportation van, which runs on Tuesdays and Thursdays. The van was booked 3 weeks out. Darrell told a reporter from the Lexington Herald-Leader, "My Social Security is wrong by $87 a month. I cannot fix it because I cannot get there to fix it. And I cannot call because the phone line is busy for 3 hours at a time." $87 a month. In Owsley County, $87 a month is almost 10% of a retired logger's monthly income. And Darrell is caught in a bureaucratic trap where his government is sending him money that is wrong. And to fix the wrongness, his government has also decided to remove every physical means of correcting the error. That is not a mistake. That is a strategy. That is attrition by geography. If you move the help 45 miles further away, then 10% of the people who needed the help give up. Then the next year, you move it another 20 miles. Then the next year, you close another field office, and the complaints drop, and the bureaucratic metrics look cleaner. And the map still shows services provided. Picture this. You are in Boonville on a Saturday morning. You are sitting on the bench outside the Save-A-Lot. An elderly woman walks past you with 3 bags. Her bags contain cornbread mix, a can of pinto beans, a gallon of milk, a bag of potatoes, and a can of Vienna sausages. That is her week. She is buying 1 week of food for $31.18. She paid with an EBT card and the taxes were covered. She does not look at you. She does not stop. Because looking at strangers in Owsley County is how you get asked for something, and nobody here has anything left to give. Owsley is number 8, not because it is unique. It is number 8 because it is systemic. Owsley is every tired Appalachian county between Pennsylvania and Alabama. It is the slow administrative grind of a federal government that writes checks with one hand and dismantles the office that delivers them with the other. And it calls that governance. And if you think the Appalachian Holler is the cruelest geography on this list, wait until we hit the border. Because we are going to number 7, and number 7 is where the United States of America draws a line, and on one side of that line there is a county, and in that county there is nobody enforcing anything. Number 7. Presidio County, Texas. The Border Patrol skipped. You hear the phrase __quote_6__ in every political bird. You hear the phrase __quote_7__ in every political speech, every campaign ad, every cable news crawl for the last 20 years. Billions of dollars, thousands of agents, walls, drones, sensors, helicopters. You would assume, from the volume of the rhetoric, that every inch of the 2,000-mile southern border of the United States is watched, patrolled, and locked down. You would be wrong, and Presidio County, Texas, is the proof. Presidio County sits on the Rio Grande in far west Texas. Population 6,100. Land area 3,800 square miles. That is bigger than the state of Rhode Island, bigger than Delaware. The county has roughly 1 person per square mile. Its border with Mexico runs for about 90 miles along the river. 90 miles of international boundary. And according to the Department of Homeland Security's own regional staffing data, leaked to the El Paso Matters investigative outlet in 2024, the average daily Border Patrol presence in the Presidio sector dropped by 68% between 2019 and 2024. 68%. During the exact years when border security was the single most spoken phrase in American political life. The rhetoric went up. The actual agents on the ground went down. Here is what nobody tells you. The Border Patrol did not leave because the border got quieter. They left because the agency, under staffing pressure and political reassignment, concentrated resources in the high-traffic corridors. El Paso, the Rio Grande Valley, Yuma. Those are the zones with the cameras and the press tours. Presidio is not a press tour. Presidio is empty desert, abandoned ranches, and a single port of entry at Ojinaga that processes maybe 40 vehicles an hour on a busy day. So the agency quietly moved the bodies, and the 90 miles of river in between became, functionally, an unenforced boundary. A rancher named Cynthia Bright, 58, whose family has worked to spread south of Marfa for 4 generations, told the Texas Tribune in March 2025, "I used to see a Border Patrol truck twice a day on my access road. Now I see one a week if I see one at all. I had people walk through my yard in November and my husband called it in. Nobody came. Not that night. Not the next day. Nobody." Cynthia's family started keeping a log. The log, which she shared with the Tribune reporter, documented 41 separate trespass incidents between September 2023 and March 2025. Of those 41 calls, Border Patrol responded to 6. 6 out of 41. That is a 15% response rate. And the calls that did get responded to, the average response time was 4 hours and 20 minutes. 4 hours. In a ranching region with no cell service, on a property with 1 elderly couple and no neighbors within 5 miles. 4 hours is not a response. 4 hours is a coroner's timeline. Picture this. You are Cynthia Bright. You are 58 years old. Your grandfather homesteaded this land in 1917. You have a diesel generator because the electric grid does not reach your house. You have a satellite phone because cellular does not reach your house. And you have a Ruger 22 rifle by the front door because the federal agency whose entire job description is to patrol the border that runs through your back pasture has decided, administratively, to be somewhere else. The sarcastic part is this. Every politician who visits Presidio County, and they do visit, especially around election season, every one of them stands in front of the Rio Grande and says, "We must secure this border." Then they fly back to Austin or Washington and vote for budgets that fund the agency. And the agency uses that budget to staff El Paso, which already has cameras every 400 yards, and to pull agents out of Presidio, where there are none at all. The money is spent, the security is performed, and Cynthia Bright's log keeps getting longer. Presidio comes in at number 7 because it answers a question that most Americans do not want to ask. The question is, if the United States federal government, after 20 years of the loudest possible rhetoric about border security and hundreds of billions of dollars in appropriations, cannot put one patrol truck on a 90-mile stretch of international boundary, then what exactly is the federal government doing? The answer is, it is performing. It is not governing, it is performing. And if a visible international border can be this abandoned, wait until we go where the map itself gives up. Number 6 takes us off the road grid entirely. Number 6. Kusilvak Census Area, Alaska, the place with no roads. Kusilvak Census Area, Western Alaska, population 8,300. Spread across 17,000 square miles of tundra, river delta, and Bering Sea coastline. Roughly 95% of the population is Alaska native. Mostly Yupik. And this is the key fact, the fact that defines everything else about Kusilvak. There are no roads. I want you to understand what that means. There is no road from Kusilvak to anywhere else in Alaska. There is no road from one village in Kusilvak to the next village in Kusilvak. The villages, and there are about 24 of them, are connected by river in the summer, by snow machine or dog sled in the winter, and by small aircraft year-round. That is the transportation system. A Cessna, a skiff, a snow machine. That is it. In the absence of roads, everything that roads usually deliver has to come in by plane or barge. Food, fuel, medicine, mail, repair technicians, teachers, police. Every single function of modern life arrives on a runway or a riverbank. And when the weather closes in, which in Western Alaska happens for weeks at a time, nothing arrives at all. Here is what nobody tells you. The median household income in Kusilvak census area is $38,000, which sounds low but not catastrophic, until you realize that a gallon of milk in the village of Hooper Bay costs $14, a gallon of gasoline costs $10.60, and a bag of flour costs $22. The Federal Consumer Price Index for Kusilvak, calculated by the Institute of Social and Economic Research at the University of Alaska, places the effective cost of living at 240% of the lower 48 average, so that $38,000 income buys what $15,000 buys in Kansas. The life expectancy in Kusilvak, according to the Alaska Native Tribal Health Consortium, is 66.2 years, same as McDowell County. West Virginia, lower than Bangladesh, in the United States of America, in 2025. But here is the detail that really tells you what abandonment looks like. In 2023, the Lower Yukon School District, which serves most of Kusilvak, announced that for the upcoming school year, it would be unable to fill 31 of its 62 certified teaching positions. Half the faculty slots. Empty. The district advertised nationally, offered signing bonuses, offered housing, and could not find certified teachers willing to take the jobs. The result was that classrooms were run by long-term substitutes, by uncertified local residents, or in some cases, simply by the principal rotating between rooms. A mother in the village of Russian Mission, named Ulana Beaver, 34, told the Anchorage Daily News in November 2024, quote, 11. That is a Yupik mother, a tax-paying American citizen, a member of a federally recognized tribe with a treaty relationship with the United States government, telling a reporter that her son is being educated by the cafeteria staff because no teacher will come. And the response from the state of Alaska, documented in the legislative audit of 2024, was to allocate a modest recruitment incentive package, fund it for 18 months, and then, quote, ____, _12__, reassess based on outcomes. Meanwhile, Ulana's son goes into 7th grade. Picture this. You're in Hooper Bay in February. The temperature outside is 22 below zero Fahrenheit. The wind is coming off the Bering Sea at 40 knots. The runway is closed because visibility is under a quarter mile. The barge will not come until June. Your fuel tank has enough heating oil for 2 weeks. Your elder neighbor, Paul, age 71, has a toothache that has now become a full abscess, and his face is swollen, and his fever is 103. The nearest dentist is in Bethel, 200 miles away. There is no airplane today. There is no airplane tomorrow. The community health aide, a woman named Dolores with 6 weeks of training, is giving Paul amoxicillin and ibuprofen and praying. That is the medical system. That is the full extent of it. And Paul is an American citizen. Kusilvac comes in at number 6, not because conditions are worse than anywhere else on this list, though they are very bad. Kusilvac comes in at number 6 because it is the purest demonstration of what happens when a government decides, silently, that certain zip codes are too expensive to serve. The Postal Service still delivers to Hooper Bay. The census still counts Hooper Bay. The IRS still taxes Hooper Bay. But the essential services that a federal government owes its citizens, the teachers, the doctors, the infrastructure, those services are triaged out, and the people who live there absorb the shortfall with their bodies. And you might think a place with no roads at all is as far off the grid as this list goes. But the next one is in Arizona. It has roads, it has a highway, it has a Walmart 20 miles away, and it still does not have water, because the water district, listen carefully, the water district dissolved itself. Number 5. Willcox, Arizona, the town that ran out of water. Willcox is in Cochise County, southeastern Arizona, about 80 miles east of Tucson. Population 3,400. It sits in the Willcox Basin, a closed hydrologic basin in the high desert, surrounded by ranches and pistachio orchards and large industrial dairy operations. Willcox has roads. Willcox has a Safeway. Willcox has a Dairy Queen and a Chevron and a 2-story public library. On a map, Willcox looks like a normal American small town. Willcox is running out of water, and not in the way you might think. Not because of a drought next summer. Not because of a climate projection for 2050. Willcox is running out of water right now, this calendar year, because the aquifer beneath it has been pumped so aggressively by industrial agriculture that the groundwater table has dropped an average of 280 feet in 2 decades. 280 feet. That is the height of a 25-story building. That much water, gone, pumped up, sprayed onto pistachio groves and dairy pasture, gone forever. Here is the detail. Arizona is one of the few western states where rural groundwater pumping is, in most counties, essentially unregulated. If you own land above an aquifer, you can drill a well and you can pump as much as you want. The state, in most cases, cannot stop you. The county, in most cases, cannot stop you. And when a corporate dairy or a Saudi-owned alfalfa operation arrives with the capital to drill a 1,400-foot well, they drain the shared aquifer faster than the neighbor's shallow domestic wells can keep up. The neighbor's wells go dry. The corporate well keeps pumping. In 2022, the residents of the Willcox Basin held a ballot referendum to create an active management area, which, under Arizona law, would impose some regulation on pumping. The referendum failed by 431 votes. It failed largely because the agricultural operations and the landowners associated with them outspent the residential side roughly 11-1 on the campaign. The vote was legal, the vote was democratic, and the vote condemned the town. Here is the part that nobody tells you. In early 2024, the Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative, which serves water pumping infrastructure in the region, issued a confidential memo to its board, later obtained by the Arizona Daily Star, stating that, within 5 to 7 years, domestic supply reliability for the Willcox residential cluster cannot be guaranteed at current pumping rates. That is utility speak for, the town will run dry. 5 to 7 years. From a memo dated 2024. The clock is running right now. In response to this, the Wilcox Municipal Water District held an emergency meeting in September 2024 and voted by a 3-2 margin to dissolve itself. Dissolve itself. The legal entity responsible for delivering water to Wilcox voted to go out of business. The stated reason, per the board minutes, was fiscal insolvency in the face of infrastructure replacement costs the ratepayer base cannot sustain. Translated, there is no way to replace the pipes and the wells at the cost the town can afford. And rather than raise rates to impossible levels or declare bankruptcy, the water district dissolved. Responsibility defaulted provisionally to the county. The county has not picked it up. The state of Arizona has not picked it up. The Federal Bureau of Reclamation has, via written statement, declined to intervene because Wilcox is outside any federal reclamation project jurisdiction. So right now, today, the 3,400 residents of Wilcox, Arizona, get their water from a patchwork of expiring private wells and a municipal system that has no legal operator. The water is still running out of the taps, for now. Nobody knows who to send the bill to. Nobody knows who to call when a pipe breaks. Nobody knows what happens in 5 years. A resident named Jerry Sanderson, 73, retired rail mechanic, told the Associated Press, "I moved here in 1974 because the water was clean and the living was cheap. I am going to die here because I cannot afford to move. I just do not know if I am going to die with water in the faucet or without." Picture this. You are in Wilcox on a July afternoon. It is 106 degrees. You turn on your kitchen faucet. Water comes out. For how long you do not know. Your neighbor's well ran dry in March. She is hauling water in jugs from the Safeway, which limits customers to 6 gallons per trip. The pistachio orchard visible from your back porch is running 4 center pivot irrigators on a well that is drawing water your great-grandchildren would have needed. And when you call the water district to ask a question, the phone goes to a voicemail box that is full. Because the water district dissolved. Wilcox comes in at number 5 because it tells you something the other counties do not. It tells you that in America, a town can vote itself into failure, and when the failure arrives, no level of government is obligated to catch it. Not the state, not the feds, not the agency whose name is on the building. Wilcox voted, Wilcox chose, and Wilcox is now on a 5-year countdown, and the nation officially has no response. That is how a town runs out of water in a country with 5 branches of emergency management. Not because of nature, because of policy, and because nobody above the county level is required by law to say yes. And that pattern, the one where nobody is required to say yes, scales up. The next stop on this countdown is a county of 800 square miles, a population of 13,000, and 1 sheriff's deputy on duty per shift. 1 for 800 square miles. Number 4, Glades County, Florida. 1 deputy, 800 square miles. Glades County sits on the northwest shore of Lake Okeechobee in south-central Florida. Population 13,000. Land area 774 square miles. It is one of the least densely populated counties in Florida, a landscape of cattle ranches, sugarcane fields, the Brighton Seminole Indian Reservation, and a handful of small towns like Moore Haven and Buckhead Ridge. Glades County has, on any given overnight shift, 1 deputy on road patrol. 1 for 774 square miles. Now I want you to understand the math of that. A single deputy in a patrol vehicle driving from the northern edge of the county at Buckhead Ridge down to the southern edge near Lakeport is looking at a 45-minute drive on Route 27. The county has more cattle than residents. It has no interstate. It has limited cellular coverage once you get off the main highways. And the nearest backup unit, if the on-duty deputy needs help, comes from Hendry County to the south or Highlands County to the north, both of which have their own minimal overnight staffing. This is not a secret. It is documented in the Glades County Sheriff's Office Annual Report, which is a public document. The sheriff himself, David Hardin, has been on record multiple times in local media, not complaining, not grandstanding, just stating the plain operational reality. His department is funded at a level that supports one overnight deputy. That is what the county tax base generates. That is what the state supplements. And the federal government, through Burn JAG grants and similar programs, contributes essentially nothing to routine patrol operations in a rural county of 13,000. Here is the detail that nobody tells you. In 2023, Glades County had an emergency call volume of roughly 1,100 911 events. Of those, internal sheriff's office data, reviewed by the Tampa Bay Times, showed that the average response time to a Priority 1 call, meaning imminent threat to life, was 22 minutes. 22 minutes. For comparison, the urban Florida average for a Priority 1 call is under 7 minutes. Rural Glades is 3 times that. A woman named Brandy McCurdy, 36, was assaulted in her home outside Palmdale in August 2024. She called 911 at 11:47 p.m. The on-duty deputy was at the far north end of the county, responding to a separate domestic. The next closest unit was a Hendry County deputy, 41 minutes out. Brandy hid in a bathroom with her 2 children. The assailant was her ex-boyfriend. He was in the house for 34 minutes before he left on his own. The deputy arrived at 12:28 a.m. Brandy survived. Her testimony at the subsequent trial, on the public record, included the line, "I was not afraid of him. I was afraid of being alone, because I was alone." That is a citizen of Florida, a taxpayer, describing in open court the experience of having the entire apparatus of state law enforcement be 41 minutes away during the worst 34 minutes of her life. And the only honest response is that it was not incompetence. It was not negligence. It was budget. It was policy. It was a tax structure that says Glades County will fund 1 deputy, and if you want a faster response, you should move somewhere else. The state of Florida, during these exact same years, spent hundreds of millions of dollars on tourism marketing, on beach re-nourishment at Miami Beach, on highway beautification in populated corridors. The state spent, per capita, significantly less on rural sheriff's office reinforcement than it did on signage upgrades at turnpike service plazas. That is not a metaphor. That is a line item comparison. The signs got upgraded. Brandy McCurdy hid in a bathroom. Picture this. You are on Route 78 in Glades County at 2 a.m. A cattle trailer has jackknifed on the bridge over the Kissimmee River. The driver is unconscious. You flag down a passing pickup truck. The driver calls 911. The dispatcher says a deputy is en route. She says the ETA is 38 minutes. The driver of the cattle trailer is bleeding from a head wound. The nearest hospital is in Clewiston, 55 minutes away by ambulance, which is also en route, also delayed. You are standing on the shoulder of a state road, in the dark, in the middle of the 3rd largest lakes floodplain in America, and the government of the United States is, for the next 38 minutes, a rumor. Glades comes in at number 4 because it illustrates a core principle of abandonment. The principle is this: presence on paper is not presence. A sheriff's office with 1 deputy on shift across 774 square miles is a legal fiction of law enforcement. It satisfies the statutory requirement that the county have a sheriff. It checks the box on the state administrative review, but when an actual human being needs an actual response to an actual emergency, what exists is a voicemail of law enforcement, not the service itself. And that pattern scales in even uglier directions, because our next county had more than one deputy. It had an entire courthouse, and the entire courthouse, indicted itself. Number 3. Clay County, Kentucky, the courthouse that indicted itself. Clay County, Kentucky, population 19,000, county seat Manchester, southeastern Kentucky, Appalachian foothills, former coal and timber country. Median household income $30,700. Persistent poverty county designation from the USDA for 17 consecutive decades. I am joking about the centuries, but only barely. Clay County has been on the federal distressed counties list for so long it has become a fixture of the list. What makes Clay County unique on this list is not its poverty, though it is deep. What makes it unique is that in March 2010, the United States Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of Kentucky indicted and eventually convicted the sitting county judge executive, the sitting school superintendent, a sitting circuit court judge, the sitting county clerk, and several election officials, together in one racketeering indictment for buying votes, selling offices, and running an organized criminal conspiracy to control the apparatus of county government. The trial, United States versus Russell, Cletus Maracle, and others, ran for weeks. The evidence included wiretap recordings of public officials discussing payments for votes, documented exchanges of alcohol and cash for ballots, and an entire shadow organizational chart of who was paid by whom to do what. 8 defendants were convicted. The circuit court judge, Maracle, received a sentence of over 20 years in federal prison. The judge executive, Doug Adams, received a multi-year sentence. The school superintendent went to prison. The county clerk went to prison. That was 2010. That was 15 years ago. Here is what nobody tells you. Clay County, after the indictments, did not rebuild. It did not get a wave of federal grants to strengthen civic institutions. It did not get a state trustee. It did not get a specialized prosecutor's office to prevent recurrence. What it got was a vacuum. And into that vacuum flowed the same political networks, sometimes under new names, sometimes under the relatives of the convicted, that had run the county before. An investigative series published by the Louisville Courier-Journal in 2023, 14 years after the initial indictments, documented that 4 of the 8 key positions affected by the 2010 racketeering case were currently held, in 2023, by direct relatives or former business partners of the convicted defendants. 4 out of 8. Same family names, same contract patterns, same jail. The federal response to a documented, prosecuted, imprisoned at length pattern of county corruption was to prosecute it once, in one cycle, and then walk away. The Department of Justice, in response to questions from the Courier-Journal, provided a statement saying essentially that federal prosecutors address specific criminal conduct under specific statutes and do not maintain ongoing oversight of local jurisdictions absent new evidence of federal crimes. Translated, we prosecuted the bad guys once. If new bad guys do bad things, we will consider prosecuting them later. The county itself is not our problem. And the state of Kentucky, when asked what structural oversight existed to prevent recurrence, cited the existence of the County Ethics Commission, which in Clay County has, according to its own meeting minutes, 3 vacancies, no active investigations, and has not filed a substantive finding in 7 years. A retired Clay County schoolteacher named Loretta Helton, 70, told the Courier-Journal reporter, quote, _18_, repair dot __, quote, _1, 9 __, no dot __, quote underscore 2, 0 underscore underscore, present on paper dot underscore underscore, quote underscore 2 1 underscore underscore, severely inadequate, underscore underscore, quote underscore 2, 2 underscore underscore, present on paper, with limited operational capacity to fulfill treaty trust responsibilities at scale. Underscore underscore quote underscore 23 underscore underscore I served this country. I went to Vietnam for this country. I came home to Pine Ridge. My grandfather's grandfather signed the treaty with the United States. The United States signed that treaty with their own hand. And my grandchildren are burying their friends before they turn 30. Tell me what word describes what the United States has done. Because the word I know, the United States does not want to hear. The word Joseph Brings Plenty is talking about is genocide. He did not say it to the reporter. He did not have to. Picture this. You are driving Highway 18 east out of Pine Ridge Village on a Tuesday morning in January. The temperature is 14 below 0 Fahrenheit. The wind across the rolling grassland is coming out of the north at 30 knots. You pass a trailer home with plastic sheeting over the windows. A stovepipe comes out the side, and the smoke coming out of that stovepipe is black and oily because the family inside is burning whatever they have. Old boards, tires, furniture. There is a dead pickup truck in the yard with 3 more behind it. Going back 20 years. There is no commercial signage visible on the horizon. There is no gas station within 16 miles. There is no grocery store. There is no hospital. There is a school bus stop with 3 children waiting. Their coats are too thin for 14 below 0. They are standing with their backs to the wind. One of them is wearing his mother's coat. And in a cabin 300 yards off the road, a woman named Evelyn is writing, by hand, in a ledger book, the names of the people in her community who have died in the last 12 months. The ledger goes back 40 years. Her grandmother started it. Evelyn has not stopped. And the federal government of the United States is, by the finding of its own Inspector General, present on paper. That is number 1. That is where this list ends. I am not going to tell you that Pine Ridge is a metaphor. Pine Ridge is not a metaphor. Pine Ridge is an American community of human beings with treaty rights, walking around in 0-degree weather, burning their own furniture to stay warm, with a federal government that acknowledges, in its own writing, that it is not doing what the treaty requires it to do, and has not for 150 years. Every other location on this list is a version of Pine Ridge. Mora waiting for the fire claim, McDowell waiting for the fire truck, Owsley waiting for the Social Security office, Presidio waiting for the Border Patrol, Kusilvac waiting for the teacher, Wilcox waiting for the water, Glades waiting for the deputy, Clay waiting for an honest county government, East Carroll waiting for the levy, and Pine Ridge, 19,000 Lakota citizens of the United States of America waiting for a country that in its own paperwork admits it has not shown up. The map of the United States has 10 holes in it that I just walked you through. The census will not admit those holes. The tourism board will not admit those holes. The political speeches will not admit those holes. But the OIG report will. The FEMA denial letter will. The sheriff's log will. The courthouse indictment will. The levy inspection will. The HUD housing assessment will. The data is there. The data has been there. The data is in the description of this video. You asked, at the start, if a country can just decide to stop governing certain zip codes. The answer is that it does not decide. Not in one vote. Not in one meeting. It decides 1,000 small administrative decisions at a time. It closes an office. It denies a grant. It reassigns an agent. It does not replace a retirement. It reassesses based on outcomes. And after 40 years of those small decisions, you have the map I just drew. Subscribe to the channel, because this was the last video of Block C. Next block, Block D, is the verdict. Final rankings. The 10 most abandoned zip codes, ranked not by narrative, but by cross-indexed quantitative data. Life expectancy, infant mortality, federal response time, treaty compliance, infrastructure grade. The numbers stacked and sorted, and forecasts through 2030 that you are not going to want to hear. Hit like if this episode hit you. Hit subscribe if you want to be there when Block D drops, because the next one lands harder. I am reports state. This was the finale of Block C. The map has holes the census will not admit. Pine Ridge. Present on paper, nothing else.